So once you're logged in and you click on the FAFSA, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen. And when you scroll to the bottom of the screen, that's where you're going to be able to launch the financial aid application. Once you launch the financial aid application, you're going to come to this screen, and I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get to this screen. So for those of you that are just logging in now to the live stream and watching, today we're helping you present the financial aid application. This live stream is being recorded, so I want you to be aware of that. The first part of the live stream, we're going to go through the entire application and we're going to record this session. The second part is we're going to allow time to create breakout rooms. We're going to send you a Google Meeting link that you'll be able to get into. We're going to send you into breakout rooms and you'll be able to get help to complete your application. I've sent you 3 links tonight. The first link is going to be attendance. Please make sure that you're filling out the attendance link. The second link that I'm sending you is going to be for the survey, that you can access the survey at the end of this presentation. And then at the end, the third link is for questions. If you have questions during this presentation, please type in the questions and I'm going to be reviewing them during this presentation. Okay, so please do that now. And hopefully this is allowing time for people to go ahead and get to this page. Okay, good. And I see the students are logging their attendance. You guys are checking in. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. So other questions that are coming in as we allow students to get to this point where we're going to be logging in and completing the FAFSA. Students are asking about questions about college. Should I set up a meeting to talk with my counselor? And yes, you can email your counselor, but also know that we have a CalSOAP coach on campus. His name is Eric Simpson. And Eric and other CalSOAP coaches are available to help you as well. I'm going to address that much more towards the end of this presentation on how you can get additional support. This Saturday, we are also holding a college Saturday school. You received the link for that today. So if you want to spend time with a counselor to talk about college options, this would be a great time for you to sign up. Okay, so now that you're to this area, students, you're going to click on I am a student. I want to access the FAFSA form, and you're going to log in to continue. This is where you're going to enter your FSA ID, the username and password that you created. Once you enter your username and password, you'll be able to log in. Okay. When you get to this point, you also need to make sure that you are agreeing to the federal student aid terms and conditions. Okay, so let me just review how I got to where I am right now, because I know some of you are just logging in now. So we got here from the California Colleges website. We went to californiacolleges.edu and students logged in. If you do not have a California Colleges website, you can simply go to the FAFSA.gov website. FAFSA is FAFSA.gov. Okay, and for those students that logged into California Colleges, once you're logged in to California Colleges and you hover over financial aid and click on FAFSA, it's going to bring you to this screen here. When you scroll to the bottom of the screen, that's where you're going to be able to launch the financial aid application. Okay, so that's how I got to where I am right now. Okay, so at this point, we're entering in, you're entering the student, you are entering your FSA ID, username, and your password. Okay, student, you are logging in with your FSA ID. Okay, take a minute to read this before continuing. This is an important notice from the US federal government. So please take a minute to read this. While you're reading this, I'm just going to translate some information quickly for some of you that may need it. Ok, bienvenidos a nuestro taller de ayuda financiera. Yo soy Ms. Solís, soy consejera aquí en Paloma Valley High School y como ustedes pueden ver, tenemos los consejeros aquí disponibles para ayudarles. La primera parte de este taller va a ser un live stream donde le vamos a explicar paso a paso la ayuda financiera, el FAFSA. La segunda parte del taller, su estudiante va a recibir un enlace para un taller donde les vamos a ayudar personalmente a terminar la ayuda financiera. Okay, so keep your questions. I mean, if you have questions, look at the email that I sent you. It has a form where you can enter your questions. Once you're done reading this advisory from the federal government, U.S. Department of Education, please accept it and then it'll move you forward. Today, what we're going to be doing is you're going to be completing the FAFSA form. Okay. So everyone should be to this screen. Okay, you're going to be filling out the 22-23 FAFSA because you're going to be in college during the fall of 2022. A year from now is going to be fall 2022. So this FAFSA application is for fall, winter, spring of 2023, and summer of 2023. You're going to fill this form out every October every year that you are in college. So please select the 22-23 form and start a new FAFSA. Please create a save key and make sure that you save this information in a location where you're going to be able to access it next year for school. You're going to need your username, your password, your save key, because once again, you're going to apply for financial aid every year that you're in college. And for those of you that are just joining us now, we're working on the 22-23 financial aid, the FAFSA form. The first part of this presentation is a live stream. The second part, we're going to be emailing you a Google link for a breakout room to help each of you fill out your financial aid. We have sent you, students, to your email 3 links. One is for attendance. One is for the survey, and the third link is if you have questions during this presentation, simply click on that link and enter your questions there. Okay, so we should be to this point now. Okay. Okay, so then the next screen is just going to go over briefly. Okay, it's just going to go over the steps that we're going to take today to complete your financial aid. So the first part of this, the financial aid form, is student demographics. Okay, so today we're going to go through student demographics, school selection, dependency status, parent demographics, parent financials, student financials, and then we're going to sign and hopefully submit tonight. Okay, if you don't finish tonight, don't worry. We're going to follow up with you. That's why we want to know who's in this live stream. And financial aid is a graduation requirement. So believe me, we're going to be following up with you to make sure that you complete your financial aid sooner rather than later. So let's go ahead and start in the student demographics. And in this area, you're going to be entering your student information, which is going to be your student email and phone number and your address. Please make sure you enter your personal email, not your school email for this part. Once you graduate from high school, your email will be inactive and you won't have access. Please make sure you're entering your student personal email and double check that the phone number you enter is accurate. Once you enter that information, we're still in the student demographic area, and you're going to be entering residency and eligibility. Please answer the following questions. Have you lived in California for at least 5 years? Okay, so you're going to indicate either yes or no. And then you're also going to answer the citizenship question. Are you a citizen? US citizen? Click on the drop-down menu and select your answer. And then continue. If you have questions, please use the question form, and I'll address questions throughout the presentation. Continuing in the student demographics, it's going to be student education. What will be your high school completion status when you begin college in the 22-23 school year? Everyone is going to be a first-time freshman, regardless of how much AP credit or dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment credit you have earned. Okay, everyone's going to be able to be a first-time freshman, and that's really important for financial aid purposes. We are recording today's session, so you'll be able to see it at a later time. But for tonight, the students that attend and do the workshop tonight, you will receive a survey code and information. Okay, what college degree or certificate will you be working on when you begin the 22-23 school year? Okay, will you be working on an associate's degree at the community college to transfer? Will you be working on a bachelor's degree, or will you be working on a certificate? Will you hold your first bachelor's degree before the 22-23 school year? And I'm going to say for most of our students, that's going to be no. I don't know of any students that will already have their first bachelor's degree. So for all of our Paloma Valley High School students, the answer will be no. What will be your college grade level? Okay, when you begin the 22-23 school year, okay, regardless of how much credit you have, you're going to be attending college for the first time after graduating from high school. Okay, so please let me know if you have any questions at this time. And again, you can ask questions by using the form link that I sent to you. And that's going to be in your student email. Okay. So going back also, if you're interested in work study, and I always tell students this work study is such a great program. It's for students that qualify, and it is a job on campus. They work around your school hours. There's a lot of locations where you can work. It's a chance for students to make some additional money while you're in college. You actually get a paycheck for the hours worked. So it's a really good opportunity. Okay, next we're still in student demographic area, and I want you to go ahead and select what you were assigned at birth, your sex that you were assigned at birth. Okay, so please select that in this area now. Okay, and I'm just checking to see if there's any questions at this time, and it doesn't appear to be any questions. Next is going to be your driver's license. If you do not have one, just leave this blank. This is student information. So this is going to be students. If you have a driver's license, enter your driver ID here. Some students have a California ID. That's not what they're asking for. It's just the driver's license. If you don't have one, just leave it blank. Okay, I'm just checking to see if there's any questions at this time. Okay, so some students are having problems accessing the form. You can go straight to the FAFSA website. Okay, you can go straight to the FAFSA website if you're having trouble accessing the form, which is fafsa.gov. And don't forget that at the end of this presentation, we are going to send you a Google link and we're going to get into breakout rooms to help you apply. Okay. So now we're going into student demographics, student foster care, and parent education completion. Are you a foster youth or were you in foster care system at any time? If you were, you're going to say yes. If you are not a foster youth, then you're going to say no. What is the highest level of education completed by parent one? Parent one, you can either assign that to mom or dad. Or if there's only one parent in the home, then you would just select the highest level for just one parent and you would leave the other one blank. So select the highest level of education. If it's high school, middle school, junior high, high school, college, or beyond, or if you don't know. Also, for those of you that might have trouble accessing the form, please know that there is an FSA FAFSA app that you can download. And some students have more success when they download the app. Okay, so the next question is going to be if you've ever received federal student aid. Some of you are, well, most of you are applying for the very first time for FAFSA. So that question, the answer to the question is going to be no. Next is going to be school selection. Okay, and I see a lot of people struggle in this area. This first part is asking you about your high school that you attend. The high school that you attend. So you're going to put in California and you can type in Menifee and you can do a search and it's going to bring up Paloma Valley High School. So the current high school that you attend is Paloma Valley High School. Now, for some of you that are just joining us now on the live stream, please look in your student email. I've sent you 3 links. One is the attendance sheet. One is going to be for any questions that you may have, and one is going to be for the survey. If you have any questions during this live stream, please type them in. And the second part of this workshop, we're going to send you a Google link where we're going to be helping you complete your financial aid in breakout rooms. So once you've selected Paloma Valley High School, it should appear like this, and you're going to be able to continue. Next, the school selection. This is where you plan to apply to college. Okay, this is where you plan to apply. So you can list up to 10 colleges here. Now, some students struggle here because the colleges they're looking for don't come up. Okay. Another way to look for the college is go to their website and all of them have a federal school code assigned to them. But I usually tell the students just select the state. Like let's say it's MSJC, Mount San Jacinto. You would select California and city, you would type in San, S-A-N, space, Jacinto, Jacinto, and search. And it'll come up that way. You can list up to 10 colleges. I always ask students to put a California college into their application, because if you do not put a California college, your application will not be reviewed for Cal Grant, California money. Okay, so even if you change your mind and you don't go to a college in California university, that's okay. but we do want your application to be reviewed. Please select a California university. Okay, I'm going to give you about a minute to select your 10 colleges. This we can always go back and correct. So let's say you submit your FAFSA and you change your mind. You need to delete colleges, add colleges. We can do that once you submit. We can go in and we can make corrections. That's not a problem. So today, don't be too concerned if you're not 100% sure where you're going to be applying. While you guys are finishing up your colleges, I'm going to see if I have any questions. Okay, great question. On the attendance sheet, it says Alan Effen, and I'm sorry about that, last name and first name. On the attendance sheet, it's saying, asking you, what is your last name and what is your first name? Okay, so it's asking you, Alan is last name, FN is first name. Okay, as long as you put in your ID, you should be fine. Okay, so some students are already to the point where they're helping their parents make an FSA ID, and it's trying to confirm the phone number and email, and it's not sending a code. And that can happen. What you can do is try downloading the FSA app. Okay, try downloading the FSA app and going in that way to see if that works. And today we're going to be working on the 22-23 FAFSA. Today we're working on the 22-23 FAFSA. The first part of this is a live stream, and the second part is going to be breakout rooms to help students finish up and answer questions. This live stream is being recorded. Okay, so this student has chose Mao San Jacinto. And remember, I said each school is assigned a federal code number, and you're going to be selecting from the drop-down menu your housing plan. So maybe you're going to be living with your parents. Maybe you're going to be living off campus. There is the on-campus option, but obviously, well, not obviously, but Mao San Jacinto does not have housing. So you wouldn't select the on-campus housing. Now, as you start to add more schools and you list your colleges, I always like to see here on the left-hand side where it has the schools numbered 1, 2. I always like to put a California school university in number 1 spot because, again, your application is going to be reviewed for Cal Grant. Once you're done selecting your schools, don't be worried if you need to change it later. We can make corrections. But once you're done adding, we will continue. And this happens often because later on students decide to apply to other colleges that still have open applications. Okay, and they so that's okay. We can make corrections. So now we're in the dependency status section. And this is the student's question. Okay, this is still asking the student the question. Students, what is your marital status as of today? And when you click on the drop-down menu, it's going to ask if you are single, married or remarried, separated, divorced, or widowed. So you're going to select your marital status and you're going to continue. Okay, so on the attendance sheet, don't worry too much about the attendance sheet. Go ahead and just give me your Paloma Valley ID number and your last name, okay? Thank you guys so much. Okay. Thank you guys. Keep your questions coming. So we're still in dependency status, and it's asking us if you, the student, have any children. Do you now have, or will you have children who will receive more than half of their support from you? So if you are a student and you have a child, but you're living in your parents' house and your parents is paying for the child, then the answer would be no, because the student doesn't receive more than half their support from you. If you are a student living with your parents or living with anyone else and you do not have any kids, then the answer is no. Do you have any other dependents? Anyone else that depends on your income? So if you have a brother, a sister, husband, wife, anyone who depends on your income, if you do not, then the answer is no. Okay, we're going to continue. Okay, so here are some additional dependency questions, and this is going to determine if you are dependent or if you are independent. Okay, so you will only check this box if you are currently serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces for purposes other than training. So if you are already enlisted in the military, which our students are not, so you would leave this box blank. Are you the student? Are you a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces? Okay, the answer is no. Leave that box unchecked. At any time since you turned age 13, where both your parents deceased, meaning unfortunately if both of your parents have died, okay, or were you in foster care, or were you a dependent or ward of the court? If you are not, okay, if your parents are alive, if at least one of your parents are alive, if you were never been in foster care, you've never been a dependent or ward of the court, you're going to leave that blank. If you are in foster care, then please mark this box. As determined by a court in your state of legal residence, are you or were you an emancipated minor? Okay, if you're not, you're going to leave the box blank. If you're not sure what that is, then most likely you are not an emancipated minor, okay? Does anyone other than your parent or step-parent have legal guardianship of you, as determined by a court in your state of legal residence? So if you're living with a grandparent, if you're living with an aunt or uncle, you are not living with your parents, okay, you're in a legal guardianship, then you will check this box. Otherwise, if you are living with the parent, even if it's just one parent, you will leave this box unmarked. If you haven't checked any of these boxes, then you're going to be clicking on none of the above. Great question. What if I've lived in California less than 5 years? Is that going to affect my financial aid status? No, it's not. It's not going to affect your financial aid status. So a lot of students are still eligible for the California Promise. They're still going to be eligible for a Cal Grant. Okay. It is going to be case by case basis. So that's why it is important for you to put on the date that you arrived in California. What if the school I want to apply for doesn't show up? That's a good question. So we're going to have to check with that trade school to make sure that they accept federal funding. Okay, so you can leave them off for today, but you can check in with us during the breakout sessions and we'll look up to see if the school that you want to go to accepts federal funding. Okay, and we're going to go over the, let me see, over the dependent children. Okay, so this is asking you as a student if you have any children. Do you have any kids? The student. Or if you are a student and let's say, for example, your brother and sister are living with you and you are working and you're the only adult in the house maybe, and you're supporting your brother and sister or a cousin or somebody else. If you're not, if your parents are supporting them, then the answer is no. Okay. And we've been through the dependency status, so we're going to move on. This is still under the dependency status. On or after July 1st, 2021, were you homeless? Or were you self-supporting, okay, on your own, supporting yourself, working, and at risk of being homeless? So if you're a student and you are on your own, you're working full-time, you're going to school, and you don't know if you're going to have a home tomorrow, you would say, yes, I'm at risk for being homeless. I'm by myself, supporting myself. Or if you are with your family and you're homeless, you're going to say yes. If not, you're going to answer no, and you're going to continue. Okay, dependency status. So most of us today, based on the answers that we give, you are going to need to provide parent information. Okay, so you will need to provide your parents' information if you do not meet any of the independent criteria. So yours should say, I will provide parent information and continue. And I know there's going to be some circumstances where you don't live with your parent. So if you don't know what your parents or guardian's highest level of education is your parent, leave it blank or say, I don't know. Okay, for parents' highest level of education. Your guardian is not your parent, okay, unless you've been legally adopted. Okay, so whose information should I provide? If you live with both of your parents, you're going to provide both parents' information. If your parents are divorced, you're going to provide information for the parent that you spend 50% or more of the time with. In the last 12 months, which parent have you spent more time with? That's the parent that you're going to provide information for. What if your parents are divorced or separated and you spend 50%, 50-50, equal time? Okay, you're going to select the parent who has provided more financial support over the last 12 months. If you are legally adopted, then you're going to report the income of the person who has legally adopted you. Okay, if you're living with an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, they are not your parent and you're not going to provide their information in here. Okay, this is now into the parent demographics. We're now in the parent demographic part of it. And as of today, what is your parents' marital status? Okay, so this is your parents' marital status for those of you that are providing your parents' information. Okay, they want to know if your parents are divorced or separated, if they've never married, unmarried, and both legal parents are living together, married or remarried, divorced or separated, or widowed. Okay, this is your parents' information. Once you've selected, then you're going to go ahead and continue. Okay, you guys are doing great with the questions, and you guys are doing great also with signing in, okay, with the sign-in sheet. Okay, guys, so remember that in your email, you have 3 forms. At the end of the presentation, you'll be able to access the survey, but we do have an attendance sheet. Please make sure at least you enter in your Paloma Valley ID number, and then there's also a link for questions. So under parent demographics, you're going to enter parent one's information. So if parent one is mom, you're going to enter mom's social security number, her last name, her first initial, her date of birth, and her email address. Okay, guys, don't forget that this is being recorded. So you're going to be able to go back and watch this at any time. But tonight, we're also going to send you a link to breakout rooms, and we're going to be able to help you apply. Now, let's say your mom, if you've assigned mom to parent one or dad, and they don't have a social security number, you're simply going to enter 9 zeros here. Okay, maybe mom or dad, they don't have social security numbers, but you do. So you're still eligible for federal funding. But if your parents don't have a social, they're just going to enter 9 zeros. Okay, if your parents do have a social, make sure that the last name you're entering matches what is on their social security card. And then you're going to enter in just your parents' initial. And don't forget, guys, that at any time, even once you submit this, you can always go back in and correct it, like make updates to the colleges that you want to add. If you want to delete colleges, add more colleges, those are corrections that we can go in and make later. For your parents' date of birth, it's going to be a 2-digit month, a 2-digit day, and a 4-digit year. Double check the email address that your parent enters. Make sure that they still have access to that email address. And then in continuing, you're going to enter the next parent's information. If you only live with one parent, or if you're only entering one parent's information because your parents are divorced or separated, then you would leave this area blank. If not, if you do live with your parents, both parents, this is where you're going to enter parent number 2's information. And once again, if parents do not have a social, this is where you're going to enter in 9 zeros. Okay, if they do have a social, make sure that you enter in the name that matches. Okay, so some students are asking to make appointments with me at a later time, and I'm no longer the college and career counselor. Okay, so we do have these workshops set up to help you. You can reach out to your counselor about getting assistance with financial aid, but we do set up these times outside of the day to walk through the application with you. Okay. Okay. And I know some of us are having some issues with the parent FSA ID. And I'm going to be going through that in just a moment. Okay. Okay. So now these questions are about your parents. Okay. Have your parents lived in California for at least 5 years? So it's either yes or no, and then you're going to continue. Okay, next we're going to have information about, this is still in parent demographics. You're going to enter information for your parents' dependents. How many other dependent children do your parent have? Include the other dependent children of your parents if they will rely on your parents for more than half of their financial support. Okay, so for example, if there's other students, other brothers and sisters living in the home, make sure you include them if they're younger and they're financially dependent on your parents. And then on the second part of it, how many other dependents do your parents have? Include your parents' other dependents if they live with your parents or currently receive more than half of their support. So let's say you have a grandparent and they are dependent on your mom and dad. You're going to enter them, a cousin, whoever else lives in the home, and your parents are providing support. You're going to enter that number in the second part right here. So on the next screen, it's going to show how big your household size is. So it's going to show you are counting as 1. Your parents, if both your parents live in the household, it's going to be 2, or maybe 1 if it's just one parent. And then this is going to be the total number of other dependent children, your brothers and sisters, or other people in the home that depend on your parents' income. Okay, so out of the people here in this household, don't include your parents, but out of yourself and the other dependent, how many of those will be in college next year? So the answer is at least going to be 1 because you're going to be in college next year, but the answer will be higher than 1 if one of the other dependent children or other dependents in the home are also going to be in college. And once you've done that part, you're going to continue. Okay, now we're moving on to parent financials. And in the parent financials, you're going to select from the drop-down menu. Okay, and for 2020, have your parents completed their IRS income tax or other tax return? So for those of you that have completed 2020 tax information, you are going to be eligible to use the IRS data retrieval tool. Okay, so if you have completed the 2020, then you are going to be able to use the IRS data retrieval tool. Okay, so you will say already completed, and then you're going to select the type of income tax return form. Like maybe your parents filed an IRS 1040. Okay, and then you're going to be able to select how they filed their tax return. So maybe they filed single, head of household, married, filed joint, married, filed separate, qualifying widower, or don't know. And let me show you how you can determine this. In the financial aid forms that we gave you, this is what a 1040 form looks like. The only difference is that your parents will say 2020. Okay, so up here at the top, you'll be able to see on the 2020, it will actually show if it's single, married, filed jointly. It will have the filing status here at the top. Okay, do I include myself as a dependent? Okay, so you're already being included. So this is just going to be other dependent children. So you're only going to put here other children in the home or other people in the home that are not your siblings. That's the only number, okay, that it's going to include. You're already included. So once you get to this screen, it's already going to automatically count you in. Okay, so I'm going to wait just a moment because I know some of you are catching up to the screen, but please be aware that we are going to open up a breakout room here in about 5 minutes to help you with your questions, okay? Okay. So for this next part, we're almost to the end, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to use the data retrieval tool. Okay, if we are eligible to use the data retrieval tool, then what's going to be really nice is it's going to import all of your financial aid information automatically into this financial aid application.